All right, there we go. We are recording now. So we've covered a little bit. Okay, so you've got to make these two numbers match. Best way to do is find a way to multiply one of the other numbers to turn into another one. So, and I know that sounded really weird. If I want to be able to turn that 2 into a 4 from 1/2, in order to do that, I've got to multiply that 2 times 2, right? Yep. Now the problem is I've got to multiply that 1 times 2 as well. Right. The other rule, whatever you do to one of the numbers, you have to do the exact same thing to the other one. Okay. Just the exact same thing. So if I multiply it 2 times 2, I've got to multiply that 1 times 2 as well. So I do that, 2 times 1 is 2, 2 times 2 is 4, plus a 4th. So there we go. We have our 4 on the bottom again. 2 plus 1 is 3, 3/4. And once again, if you ever held a measuring cup, that makes sense, right? If you have a 1/2 cup of something, you add a 1/4 cup of something to it, boom, you have 3/4 of a cup. And yeah, they can get ugly. Okay. Or let me change this number a little bit because all the ones on top are gonna. Okay. 3/8 and I don't know. We'll go with 1/64. Once again, you're going to have to bring that 8 up to be a 64. Okay. In order to do that, I've got to multiply that 8 times 8. Okay. I've got to do the same thing to the 3. Okay. So I have 8 times 3 is 24 over 64 plus 1 over 64 is going to be 25 over 64. All right. Anybody have any questions on that? I don't want to beat it to death too much.
Yeah. So the bottom number is what you're going to times towards the other one. So like, or is it just whatever the second biggest number is, whatever that equals is what you times the other one to?
Okay. The whole point is, and I'm not sure if I understood the question correctly, but I'm going to work on it here, is these bottom numbers here, you have to make them match some way.
Okay, so that's how you figure out the first number and then
Right.
multiply. Okay.
Yep.
That's all
The
I
bottom
needed.
numbers have to match. Those denominators have to be the same. If they're not, then you're just kind of shoot yourself in the foot. And the same thing goes. What are we doing on time? It's only 6:30. Oh, sweet. Do some erasing here. And the same thing works when you're subtracting. And we'll go back to one of our standbys here. 1/2, except this time. What are you doing? There we go. Anybody else see those numbers just disappearing on me? So 1/2 minus 1/4. You still have to have that common denominator. Times 2, times 2. And we're all aware that, I guess I need to go back a little bit, that little dot, when I just put a dot in here, that means multiplication, right? Okay, remember that. And the reason is we stop using X as multiplication at some point for the sole reason of when you get into the algebra, X is really popular. And so you don't want to mistake, you don't want to have X times X times X with all these X's around. You don't know what X is what, right? So then we moved over to a little dot. So I'm gonna do that same thing again. 2/4 minus 1/4 is equal to 1/4. The denominators all remain the same. Okay. And once again, that makes sense if you ever held a measuring cup, right? 1/2 a cup of something, you take 1/4 of a cup out, you're left with 1/4 of a cup, right? So All right, so everybody good with adding and subtracting those things? Anybody have any questions or concerns? Okay, next one's going to be multiplying your fractions, the small ones. Yeah, I know. They're all small ones though. It's all good, TJ. There's no, once you get these rules down, you can just expand, they expand them out, and all it takes is a little bit of practice. The next thing is multiplying fractions, okay? Multiplying fractions is the easiest thing you can do. Okay, also, there's a couple of different ways to write it, okay? If you see parentheses here, that means the same thing. All right, so we don't want to, get confused. There's a dozen different ways to write the same thing. Okay, on multiplying fractions, multiply top times top, bottom times bottom. 1 times 1 is 1, 2 times 2 is 4. And the same thing here. Okay, that's it with multiplying. Top times top, bottom times bottom. And I know we haven't talked about reducing the fractions yet, and we'll try to get into that here pretty quick, because you don't want, you want to reduce it to as low as possible, and it makes sense when you do them. Makes a little more sense when you do them. But I can do this 2/3 times 3/4. Multiply top number to top number, bottom number times the bottom number. That becomes 6/12. All right. And this is a good time we can work on reducing. If the top and bottom number have something in common, we want to reduce them as low as possible. All right. We know they both have 6 in common, but I'm also going to show you, let me pull this over here, is we can do it in steps. I can divide the top one by 6, but if I do something to the top number, I have to do the exact same thing to the bottom number every single time. Divide the bottom number by 6, so 6 divided by 6 is 1. 12 divided by 6 is 2. So 6/12 is the same as 1/2. Right. Which makes sense. If you take a pizza, cut up into 12 pieces, pull 6 of the pieces away, boom, you got half a pizza, right? So far, it kind of makes sense because we can look at it and do it. Any questions on the multiplying? Just top times top, bottom times bottom. Everybody's good? See, this isn't so bad, is it? All right, finally, division of fractions. Now, this is probably, almost as complicated as adding and subtracting. Always when I taught my students in like high school, and I used, oh, darn it, I think I'm hitting the button on the pen. There we go. Try this again. Always tell them keep, change, flip. So not KFC, but KCF. All right. 1/2 divided by 1/4. And basically the question here is, how many times will 1/4 go into a half, right? And we know it'll go in 2 times. All right, it takes 2 1/4 to make a half. So we're already there. I just want to see that that it works out mathematically. All right, so when I say that keep, change, flip, you keep the first number, just leave it alone. You change that division to a multiplication, and you flip this one on its head. So 1/4 becomes 4/1. Now that brings us to the other thing, which is when in a fraction, anything over 1 is itself. Okay, because what I haven't touched on is what fractions actually are. In simplest possible terms, fractions are another way to do division, right? They show pieces of a whole. So, but we'll get to that in a minute. I'll get all off track, and then I'll never get back to this problem. So keep, change, flip. I'll flip that one on its head. Then 1 times 4 is 4. 2 times 1 is 2. That's 4 over 2. Now, what I said is our fractions are actually division problems. What another way to write this is 4 divided by 2, which is equal to 2. I see. Hannah and Michaela, well, they're writing their butts off here. That's all right. Somebody taking notes. I don't know what to do with that. You threw me off. It confused me. Usually I have people falling asleep by now. So, and let's kind of back up to, like I said, let's back up a little bit to what exactly a fraction is. A fraction is a division problem, and it's also showed to represent parts of a whole. Okay, so we said there's a numerator on top, denominator on bottom. All right, the bottom number is how many total pieces are you dealing with, right? In a thing, how many total pieces are there or could there be, right? And then the top number is basically how many of those pieces are we talking about, right? Look, Donna, I didn't sleep much last night either. I am not going to lie. I am on 12. I'm on 5-hour energies right now. Okay, so total number of pieces and how many you're talking about on top. All right, so if I cut something into 2 pieces, there's 2 pieces total. But if I only want to talk about one of those pieces, I'm just talking about half of it, right? Now, does anybody know right off the top of their head what a half is in decimal form?
0.5.
0.5. Okay, so half is equal to 0.5, and we can figure that mathematically. Do some little more erasing here. Because remember what I said earlier was this is also just simply a division problem, and it'd be 1 divided by 2. Well, if we plug that in the calculator, we get 0.5, right? So it's the concepts themselves are not that bad. Now, we'll tell you, if you can do these fractions, higher math gets a lot easier. And, you know, all the way through college algebra, college trig, business calculus, calc 1, calc 2, fractions were the main thing of them every time I took a class. Linear algebra, it was all fractions. So you can't get away from them, and I resign myself to just becoming familiar with them. You know, being able to work them, because if as you go through your math, if they never go away, then there's no reason for me to fight them. I'm just fighting a losing battle at that point. Okay, anybody have any questions on the fractions, kind of what they represent and what they're for? Nobody? Oh, TJ said 0.5. Good job. All right, now let me stop that share for a minute. There is a problem in one of them here that talks about least common denominators. Well, let me go back here. Let me share this again.
Yeah, I was gonna bring up, I don't know if it's on is it on the quiz on chapter 2?
I think it is. I'll have to look at it again.
Yeah, I think because I tried to answer it and I was so confused about because it wouldn't take my answer.
Okay. Do you remember which number that was? Go
At the bottom,
into
it's one of the last few ones at the bottom, I think.
you said it was at the quiz, right?
Yeah, it was the quiz.
All right. Let me look it up here.
I think that happened a few times last time too.
Was it reducing or was it finding the lowest common denominator of a bunch of fractions? It was
Bunch of
probably
fractions. Yes, bunch of
okay.
fractions.
Well, let's go through this one, and I know this is one of our problems.
Okay.
5 over. Oh, you share. Am I still sharing the whiteboard with you guys? Aren't I? Yeah. Looks like they give you some fractions: 5/8, 9 over 14, 2 over 3, and 1 over 6. And they want to know, find the least common denominator. All right. The least common denominator is going to be what number can every single one, what's the smallest number every single one of these bottom numbers can go into evenly. Can't see anybody.
2.
Do what? No,
Two,
not what
two?
not what to go into them, because yeah,
Oh, okay.
because 3 won't go into 14 or 2 won't go into 3. What is the smallest number that each one of these will go into evenly? And there is a method to this, and I've got to. Okay, one of the ways to find a common denominator. Let me back up a little bit here. Any common denominator will work, and I kind of didn't express that earlier because we said 1/4, 1/2 is 3/4, and we know the common denominator is 4, so we try to turn that 1/2 into 2/4. Okay, and that gives us 3/4. Another way to do it is you can just multiply these bottom numbers together. Okay, and we can say our common denominator is 8 because 4 times 2 is 8. Then our job becomes to figure out what we did here. So to take 4 to make it to an 8, I multiply it times 2, which means I got to do the same thing by the top number, right? I multiplied this 2 times 4, which means I do the same thing here. 4 8s, which becomes 6 8s. Well, what does 6 and 8 have in common? And divide that by 2, divide that by 2, that becomes 3/4. So mathematically, it kind of all works out for us, doesn't it? You okay there, Michaela?
I'll get it. I'll,
All right.
I'll have to rewatch the video. I'll get it. I'll get it.
thought you said that too.
Just one goodness.
Now, when you have a whole bunch of them here, though, if I was to multiply 8 times 14 times 3 times 6, that's what? 8 times 14 is 112 times 3, which would be 336 times 6, which would be 1900, whatever it is. And so that number becomes overly large. And we don't need that. What we need, pull up here, make sure I told you. I'm going to cheat here and 8, 14, 3, and 6. If I multiply all those bottom numbers together, you do get a common denominator. Oh, I'm sorry, but it becomes 2016. That number's way too large to deal with. And then you have to figure out, well, how do I turn, if I have 2016 on the bottom, what do I do with the 5? What do I do with the 9? It just becomes a mess. So when we say least common denominator, we want something that's not 2016. We don't want something that's just going to be so large we don't want to have to deal with it. So the way we do this, and I've always got to, right? I go over here and make myself a little chart, and I write down my denominators: 8, 14, 3, and 6. All right. Now, can I divide? I can start dividing this thing up. I can try to divide everything by 2. Okay. 8 divided by 2 is 4. All right. 14 divided by 2 is 7. If I can't divide 3 by 2, I just leave it there. And then 6 divided by 2 is 3. Okay. Then I go and I just start knocking these things down again. I'm gonna divide what I can by 2 because I see that 4 is there. So 4 divided by 2 is 2. Can't do anything with 7. Can't do anything with the 3 or that 3 there. And what we're trying to get to, and I should have said this in the beginning, which is we're trying to get to prime numbers. Okay. And a prime number, anybody remember what a prime number is from high school? Jeanette says she does. A prime number is only divisible by 1 in itself. Right. 3 is a prime number. Nothing else goes into 3 evenly, right? Besides 3 and 1. 6 is not a prime number because 2, 1, 2, 3, and 6 will go into it evenly, right? So we start knocking these numbers down until we're down to nothing but prime numbers. Or actually, I'm sorry, we start knocking this thing down to where have nothing but 1s left over, right? So I got 2, 7, 3, and 3 left here. I'm going to try to divide stuff by 2 again. I know this seems a little repetitive. 2 divided by 2 is 1. I can't do anything with the 7, the 3, or the 3. All right. Next thing is, let me get rid of that 7. I'm going to try to divide everything by 7. The 1 doesn't count, so the 1 gets brought down. 7 divided by 7 is 1. Can't do it with a 3. I can't do it with the other 3. And then finally.
Wait, so why did the 7 go down then?
Because in the end, I'm trying to bring everything down to be 1s completely on the bottom. And so I just start dividing here. And if it won't divide evenly into it, I just kind of drop that number down. Because 2 wouldn't go into 7, 2 wouldn't go into 7, 2 wouldn't, but 7 will go into 7 and make it into 1. Now I have 3s left. 1, 1, 1, and 1. So we finally got to where everything's a 1. And I know that seems a little complicated and a long way around to do it. So you're like, okay, where do I come up with a common denominator? At that point, I go right here and I multiply all these numbers together. 2 times 2 times 2 times 7 times 3. 2 times 2 is 4. And I'm going to show you a little secret. Don't be scared of using paper. I will take things one step at a time. When I even for somebody who's had as much math as I have. Oh, can we take a second to go back? However, we got the 4 as a. Do you want me to cover that again, TJ?
No, it's okay. I'll pick back up.
Okay. 4 times 2 is 8 times 7 times 3. 16 times 3, which is equal to 48. And that doesn't seem like the right answer to me.
I got 126, but I don't know if I'm correct either.
I got something different too.
2, 4. Oh, well, duh. Let's try to. not show how big of a knucklehead I am.
I got 84.
7, there we go. You gotta bring the numbers back down. That seems right. Okay, so let me erase this here. Okay, 2 times 2 is 4. I brought that down. Times 2 times 7
168.
times 3. 8 times 7 is what?
Me too. I got 168.
68.
Okay, 56. 56 times 3, which is 150 plus 18, 168. There you are. You're right. Even though that looks a little bad, that's 168. So whoever got 168 was right. Yep. Jeanette, thank you. It's supposed to be a 7 instead of a 2. I know. Gosh. But so yeah, and this happens to be number 7 on the quiz. So if you happen to have this, if these are the numbers, you kind of have the answer now. But, and I know that seems like kind of a long drawn out way to do it, but otherwise, like I said, we'd be 5, 8. We'd have to do 8 times 14 times 3 times 6. Okay. And then, I mean, that becomes 2016 becomes our common denominator. Then we fiddle with all these top numbers. And then we have to start reducing. And so you're just doing a whole lot of work. I'd rather front load the work like this than have to try to figure it out at the end. Do we want to try to do another one of those?
Yes.
Okay.
That is so funny. My kids said, "You're doing fractions," and they're doing fractions in class.
Hey, I'll tell you, fractions, that's just the thing you got to get good at. That's even though I was a pipe fitter out on the pipeline, you had to know your fractions because we all, it was a tape measure. And you're adding, subtracting lengths, and you're trying to figure out, if I have something that's 3/16 of an inch, 5 3/16 of an inch, but I need to cut a 2 1/4 inches off of it, how much should actually be left, and you've got to double check your measurements. So even, in just everyday stuff, everyday work, it became a necessity to know this. So the answer for all of that is 168. Yes, Michaela, it is. Well, and let's look at something before we go to another one. Doggone it, stop it. Before we go to another one, let's look at this again. Because here's the deal. Another thing I like to, getting low on time here, I like to express, everybody mind hanging out an extra few minutes to do one more of these? Okay. And if you got to bounce, I get it. At 7, not everybody, everybody has things to do. 168. I'm gonna go with 5/8 divided by 8 is 21. So that means I have to multiply this times 21, that times 21. So that becomes 105 over 21. Or 125 over 168. Sorry. All right. Same thing with 168 divided by 9. It's 178. Where do I get 9 from? Jesus Christ, man. All right, Donna, lack of sleep's got to me. I'm done. I'm just going to have to. Okay, let's try this again. So my cheat, 168 divided by 14 is 12. All right. So I got to multiply that by 12. Multiply that times 12. 9 times 12 is what, 108? Okay, same thing here, 168 divided by 3, 5, 15, 18, 56. So it'd be 168, and I multiply the 2 times 56, which would be 112. And then 168 divided by 6 be 26. So 168. So 26 over 168. Now, the reason I did this is 105 over 168 is the same as 5/8. There's no difference in that number. Okay. And there's a reason. I'm going to back up, do a little backing up here. Same thing. 108 over 168 is 9 over 14. 112 over 168 is 2/3. And 26 over 168 is 1/6. They're exactly the same number. And the reason we get away with that, erase my scribbles here, is you remember I told you that anything over itself is always equal to 1, right? Well, when I take a number like 1/2 and I multiply it, and I multiply the top number by 2 and the bottom number by 2, what I'm actually doing is multiplying it times 2 over 2. So I'm multiplying it by 1, right? A version of 1. So 2 over 4, 2 4s and 1/2 are exactly the same number. I haven't changed the value. I've just manipulated them so we can work at them. Right. So I multiplied it times 1. And it doesn't matter what I multiply it times. $30 over 60 is still 1/2 because I multiplied it times the version of 1. So even though I've changed the way the number looks, I haven't changed the actual value of it. And that's what we care about, is the value of that number. Now, so we're going to do this one more time, and we're just going to make up some fractions. The common denominator. Somebody throw some fractions at me so they just be random. I'll start out with, we'll have one is 3/8. Anybody have another one?
2/24.
Would you say 2/24?
Mhm.
Okay.
7/32.
11/32. Okay. Is 3 of them enough, or do we want 4? Okay, 3 of them is good enough. All right. Now 2/24, Hannah. We also, just right off the bat, we know that's 1/12, right? Because once again,
Sorry, I have a quick question. Is this called simplifying, just to make sure?
well, what we're doing right now is yes, and we're also finding the least common denominator. So the answer, the easy answer is yes. But 2 over 24, if I divide 2 by 2 and 24 by 2, which is, once again, I'm just dividing by a version of 1, right? So I'm not actually changing the value. It becomes 1/12. But I like the 2/24. So I'm going to go over here, my little chart, 8, 24, 32. I'll erase some of this garbage that's in the way. All right, so I'm going to say, well, pretty easily, I can divide everything there by 4, right? 8 divided by 4 is 2, 24 divided by 4 is 6, and 32 divided by 4 is 8. So I could have probably divided everything by 8 as well, right? But we'll get there. you don't have to, you can do it in baby steps. If you missed 8, it'll come back around. I see my 2 here, so I'm gonna divide everything by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1, 6 divided by 2 is 3, 8 divided by 2 is 4. All right. I'm gonna get rid of that 3 as well. So can't do anything there. 2 divided by 3 is 1, can't do anything there. And so I'm left with 4, 1, 1, and 1. All right. So I'm gonna take 4 times 2 times 3 times 4. That's 8 times 3 times 4, 24 times 4, which is equal to 96. So our least common denominator is going to be 96. All right, good night, Mindy. All right, so is everybody see how that's done? If you can just do a little practicing and everything should be okay. Good job, Michaela.
Give me
All
2
right.
seconds.
I'm sorry, Victoria.
Sorry, I was taking my old school notes. I'm about to log off too. Sorry.
Oh, that's all right. I think it's 3 after. Anybody have any specific questions I can ask for? I mean, if you need to bounce out, you're fine. Bye. And if you want to stick around for any other questions, bye. That's fine too. So anybody?
I was gonna ask if I have any trouble with any of the assignments, can I just like Zoom call you? That way you can maybe show me what I'm doing wrong or something on my notes while I'm drawing them, or like how
Yeah.
you doing?
Oh yeah. You can Zoom call me, you can come on campus, and you can ask questions. I think next thing we'll have more questions. Okay, TJ. You can also ask questions on WebAssign and about a certain problem, and I can answer it on there as well. Sometimes the easy ones are just bam. I can type something out, it'll show up on WebAssign. If not, I'm available anytime I can, in any way you need me.
Okay, because I'm gonna need some some sort of guidance. But I understand this now, and you did explain it better than I remember it from high school. So thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. All right. Well, I will have this up on Canvas tomorrow. And so you can rewatch it, although I feel like this one was kind of caught it in the middle, and then it was kind of hinky, but I'll get better at this. It's been a while for me to teach this online as well. So, all right. Well, if everybody's good, I'll stick around for a few minutes. Have any more questions? Otherwise, we'll just all right, Michaela, good night.
Good night.
Bye.
Aubrey,
Steve,
you good? Yes,
Steve,
yes, ma'am.
I had a question on the one, I believe it was on chapter 1 on the quiz where they were
Okay.
doing the square footage.
All right, let me find it here. You said chapter 1 quiz?
I believe it was, yes. I think it was number 15 on there.
Was it a long one?
Yeah.
The
I was asking about,
flooring?
yes, yes.
All right, no problem. As long as I know
So-
we're on the right one. Now, let me get
So I
back
have
where I
that-
can work here.
That the kitchen had 126 square feet. And the study was 150. And
The
then the
study-
living room,
What'd you say the kitchen was?
126.
No. And let's just look at it. The living room is 15 by 22. To 15 by 22. The dining room was 13 times 18. The kitchen was 9 by 13. And the study was 10 by 15. Are these the same numbers you had, Marcy?
Uh-huh.
Okay. So the
That's
living room
That's what
should
it
be
is. Well, but
15, 150. That should be, living room should be 330
yep, I got that.
square feet. The dining room should be 180.
198.
No, I'm gonna cheat. I'm gonna go to I got a spreadsheet opened up here. Let me come over here and just do the multiplication. And you can use a calculator. Don't, we're not holding people to 13 times 18 is 234. Then 9 times 13 would be what, 117? And then 10 times, is that 15?
Yep.
Is 150 square feet. So it sounds like you might have got a couple of numbers wrong right there.
Well, and I'll have to look, I guess my struggle with doing it this way is I should have zoomed off of my phone and then, so I could go into, that WebAssign, because I got everything correct. Like it showed, I had all my numbers right, like when I figured out the square foot,
Right.
but then I'm somehow messed up on the two that were, and I'd have to, because like I said, I can't see it now. I'd have to look at it. Somehow the, when I did the measurements times the cost of the tile,
Okay.
I got that one messed up somehow.
Okay. So
But all
the
of my
top,
numbers were right. Like, when it checked it, my square foot of the kitchen and stuff like that was all correct.
you know what? I bet I can look. Let me find. Give me just a second here. Let me get to the right screen.
That's right.
Okay, so we're on quiz chapter 1. There it is, scores. And doggone it, who am I talking to again? I lost you.
Marcy.
Marcy, sorry.
It's okay.
Marcy Johnson. And what number is that? That is number 15. Well, I thought I had a way to look at it. Maybe I do. All right, so you got 330, 198, 126, 150. You got 800 square feet total. So you missed C and D on that, which is if the tile in the kitchen and study costs $4 per square foot. Okay, so the kitchen and the study is $4 per square foot, right?
So my kitchen is 117 and the study is 150 times 4 would be 1,653, right?
Solid kitchen and study costs 4 square foot and tile for the living room. Okay.
Yeah, 1,068.
Okay, let me do it real quick. 6,068. Okay.
Yeah.
And then the living room and dining room.
So 330. And my dining room's 234.
330 and 234. Yep.
So 354 at $3, right?
Right.
So that's 1062.
Well, let me look here. 4, 6. You said 564, right?
Yeah.
Okay, we're doing that times 3. All right, 12, 19, 16. Did you get 1692?
1692. Yep.
All right, and then we add those together, right? 1692, 1068, 0, 5, 7, 27. Oh, carry the 1.
2760.
2760. That's what it should be.
Okay. Can you see what I had in there?
Yes, you had 2688.
Okay. I just need to look at it again. And then, which that one's fine. My other question is, there was one that is a really long one about, Carol and somebody and their assets and their liabilities.
Okay. On that one. Is that on the same quiz?
I
That,
think
that
so.
sounds later down the road, but I'm trying to remember. I'm erasing here. Assets and liabilities. Oh, there it is. Oh, okay. It had a balance sheet.
Yeah. Can you see and you can look at it just at your convenience. Can you see where I typed you in, like where it said, ask the teacher, and I sent it, how I broke it all down and everything? That I struggled with that one for I swear I worked it 10 times. It finally wouldn't let me change my answer anymore.
Okay. Do you want to go over it real quick? Want to look and see?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's look here. Total assets in dollars, total liabilities in dollars, and net worth in dollars. Okay. So first off, we need to be able to know what the difference between assets. Whoops. And you need to know where you need to just divide your assets, your liabilities out, and they don't give you any owner equity on here, so it's just assets and liabilities. So and they list the assets out on the left side for you, so you don't really have to guess at them. But they give them to you and they just kind of throw them at you, and they kind of vomit it out on this problem here, and you've got to separate it out, right?
Right.
Tom and Carol asked for your help preparing personal balance sheet. They have listed the following assets and liabilities. Current value of the home is $148,000. Okay, so 148,000. That's an asset, right?
Right.
Because an asset is something asset is something you own. A liability is something you owe someone else.
Right.
Okay, I think I helped someone with this one about a month or so ago, and the problem we had was just you got to be real careful about picking these stuff out of here. Audio and video equipment is $1,340. Automobiles, $17,900. Personal property is $4,350. Computer is $3,700. So far we're still dealing with the asset side. Mutual funds, $26,700. Retirement plan, it's 50 for your 401k, 53,680. It's something you own. Jewelry, you own it. It's $4,800. 40. Oh, let's see. Jewelry, 4,800. CDs are 19,300. Your stock investments, 24,280. So all those so far we're still dealing in stuff we own, right?
Right.
Stock investment, furniture, other household goods, 8,600. And I'm gonna go ahead and throw these in a spreadsheet and
We're doing it
just
right
kind of type them out So 148,000, 1340, 17,900, 4350, 3,700, 26,700, 53,680. If I'm doing wrong, let me know. 19,300, 280. And I'm just listing these out on a sheet right now so I can keep track of them. So where'd that leave us? All right. Household goods, 8,600. So now we're at the balance on Walmart and Sears charge accounts. So that's definitely a liability, right? That's money we owe on the
Right.
charge account. 4868. Automobile loan balance is 8840. Home mortgage, 106,670. Visa MasterCard, 4213. Okay, so then they throw us a curveball here. Saving account balance, 3,700. That's money. That's an asset, right?
Right.
So I'm gonna add that to my asset side.
Okay.
Carol's night school tuition loan balance, 2,750. That's money we owe to somebody else, so that's a liability. And our checking account balance is 1,385, so that's an asset. Tuition, checking account balance, and signature loan, which is 6,350. So on the liability, I added those other two, the 3,700 and 1,385 to the asset side. Now on the liability side, make sure I have it right. I have 4868, 8840, 10670, 4213, 2750, and 63.
6350.
Okay. And then I'm just going to go ahead and add these up real quick. Like that. Looks like something. Okay, so let's look back at your problem here. Total assets. I have you had $192,972. I don't know where you got that, but if you add all the assets we pulled out together, that should be 317,000. We'll get over here again. 317,735.
That's what we had last time.
And then on your liability side, looks like you had $133 and I don't even, you put a weird thing down there. You were close. It should be, make sure. I messed something up here. This is probably one of the things is when you bring them down. $106,670.
106.
There we go. No, that's not your answer. I'm sorry. That was the
No. What was the liability?
the liability should be, and I'm looking here, 133,691.
See, I had that at one point.
You what?
You see where I answered it like 20 times. When I look, it shows my.
It doesn't give me that. It just gives me the final, what you finally put in.
Oh,
It doesn't give me all that information. Now, and then your net worth,
would we just
gonna be-
subtract those?
yeah, assets minus your liabilities. So that would be your 317,735 minus your 133,691. That should be, I'm gonna double check on my spreadsheet here. Is that what you got there?
Yep.
Okay. So you just messed up adding and subtracting somewhere. And it's easy to do when they just kind of just, like I said, they kind of just vomit some numbers on a list here and expect you to pick them out. They all start to run together eventually.
So is there a limit to like how many times you can try to get that before it tells you you're just done?
Let me check the settings. I'm going along with what Bob had for the settings. I haven't changed anything. I don't think there is.
Because it, like now, it's just grayed out where like if I go on there and highlight it and try to delete, it won't let me, it will not let me answer that question again.
All right, let me
Because I
look
tried
here.
it, like I said, 100. I think I spent an hour like writing, I wrote it out on paper. I mean, if you see, I've got a whiteboard that I've been doing it on the whiteboard.
Well,
and-
I can't see that right now, but give me a second. I might be able to.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to look and
I've
see.
got a board and let's just,
I see the ask your teacher and both of them. Yep. Yeah, I'm not sure where you went off the rails here. And I will let you know, because I'm gonna have to go in here and figure out how to give you more chances. What did you make on that assignment anyway? It may just be a moot point at this junction.
I don't think I didn't submit it yet because I didn't know like if I, on that one, because like I said, it wouldn't let me enter it anymore. So I haven't submitted it actually for a grade.
Okay. Yeah, I think. All right, well, I'm not sure how to go back here to WebAssign and change that. So give me a chance to look that over
Okay.
and we'll figure something out. And you may have done, once you assign, did you feel good about all the rest of them? I can look
Yeah.
here.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I need to go in. I was real unsure of the square footage one because like I said, I answered it once and it told me I had two right or some right and some wrong. So, but it was time for class. So I was like, I'll go back and look at that one again.
Okay.
But I might just, just submit it with that one wrong and just take that little bit of a hit on it.
Yeah, if it's because you've got a total of 15 problems. So
Yeah.
if you got most of them right, I'm gonna look here. Where are you at, Marcy?
I think those were the only two that, and I mean, it gave me some points for it. So
Yeah, and it's pretty good about that. I'm losing track of what I'm doing here. Yeah, you're Marcy. It looks like, okay, which one is that, the quiz or
it is
was
the
that the
quiz.
assignment or the quiz?
No, the assignment I didn't submitted it and I got 14 out of 14, but that.
Okay. Oh, it looks like you did submit this. You're
it
at
did submit?
14. Yeah, it looks like at 14.03 out of 15. So
I might leave it.
yeah, that's a 93 and a half percent. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't.
Yeah. It's not worth the struggle on everybody's part to fix it.
Well, I will
mean,
look it over though.
Okay. Like I
And-
said, I knew the process of it, but like you said, I just got messed up on it. But like I said, I knew the steps to try to figure it. So I don't feel too bad.
Are you any good at Excel?
Not really.
Okay. Okay.
But
I may do like an extra class on some real easy Excel stuff. You think
Yeah.
you guys might be interested in that? Like maybe
Yeah.
somewhere next week, I may just record something and put it up.
yeah,
So,
that'd be awesome.
all right. We got any questions on any of the other ones?
Nope. I think that was it. Those two.
Awesome. All
right.
right. Well, I will see you next week. If you have any problems, just ask. You can ask on here like you did there, or
Okay.
you can, because what I will do is first thing every morning, because if you don't hear from me, it means I just haven't checked it yet. So I'll check it first thing in the morning.
Okay.
If anybody has any questions from the night before, I'll try to get all that handled first thing. And then if I can check it again in the afternoon, I will. But if not, I'll check it again the next morning and
Okay.
handle everybody's questions from the night before.
Okay. Okay. All right. I appreciate you staying late for me.
Hey, no worries. Anytime.
Thank you.
Talk to you later.
Good night.
Bye.